my mind wanders back to the help I got from Norm Inkler, who was the assistant art director in sales promotion and advertising at Hallmark. And really the better teacher of the people the best of the teachers that I had at Hallmark. And the nice thing about it is they were real patient with me. They gave me over a year, maybe 18 months, to learn my skills in lettering. As far as that goes, illustration. I never got to be such a red-hot illustrator, but I did consider myself pretty good in lettering. And right across the hall from our department was Hallmark's lettering department. And they were something else. And they brought in some of the best people in the world, as far as I was concerned, to demonstrate their skills in lettering. Andrew Zerke, for example, Hungarian, who had an office in New York City and did all the lettering for Tiffany's, was just an amazing lettering artist and typographical designer. And he would do, like demonstrations using a croquis pen and pull straight down, not across, not left or right like we're used to. He pulled straight down, did one word at a time through the pinpoint way after each word, and he'd make my eyes get real big when he would do that, handle it. The Spencerian scripts and the formal scripts were just amazing when he'd do them. And then we'd get crazy, people from California, and that's where I met Mortimer Leach, who has absolutely the best lettering book I've ever seen. Most of the lettering books are coffee table books, and they're not worth a damn as far as teaching lettering. But Leach's book is outstanding. And I contacted him after he visited Hallmark, and he said he would be happy to find me some books. And I took those books to Phillips University, and we actually had enough for everybody in the class. And then, unfortunately, we couldn't get them again. They were out of print. I got some books from Ballinger, a man named Raymond Ballinger, who worked at the Philadelphia Museum School, and he was also an incredible lettering artist, and probably a better, more articulate artist, because he could write, and he wrote a couple of books. Leach's books were pretty good, but they didn't have to be. There was nothing philosophical in the books or there was not a lot of historical background, just mostly about how to do it. And there are no, in my opinion, there are no good how to do it books, because Leach is specific, very specific about how to determine the width of a letter, how to determine the height of a letter, particularly lowercase letters. Imagine, for example, that you're doing formal script. The descender on a formal script has to be 5 pen widths deep. Things like that give a student a chance to really bite into the specifics of the craft. It gives you something to learn, and then you launch yourself later into variations on those themes. And this will surprise you, because I'm losing my memory, but in standard, we'll say flat-sided Gothic, the B, C, D, G, H, O, P, Q, R, S, U, and J are all identical in width. And that width is determined by the width of the height of the letter is determined by the width of the major stroke. And I think it's amazing that Leach developed a vocabulary for lettering. For designing lettering, things that you could look at. He was so sensitive about the width of a horizontal stroke compared to a vertical stroke, and you had to make it just a hair thinner, because horizontal strokes are heavier, visually heavier than vertical strokes, and so he wants that subtle manipulation made of those major strokes. And any kind of diagonal stroke, for example, on an N or an M or a W, had to be modified a great deal, or you get a gathering of weight where the diagonal intersects the vertical. And if you don't do that right, it just looks like hell. And Leach was a master at it. And
what were you saying the other day about an L and an A beside each other?
the LA combination is a lettering man's nightmare, because your horizontal stroke on the L hits a diagonal stroke on the A, and you got a big flaming hole there, and you got to do something about it. So you have to lop off a little bit of that, of the horizontal on the L. And Leach always wanted you to stand the diagonals up. Don't lean them too much. If you lean them too much, you just magnify that hole. And letter spacing, fantastic letter spacing. Explanations on letter spacing. He had I was jumping around a little bit. The Philadelphia Museum School guy had a system that he called the pellet images. And you visualize pouring sand in between the letters, and he has real good examples of how that works. And you can train yourself to see the negative spaces between the letters real well. And I think it's something that becomes obvious to you after a while, after you see all the mistakes people make and the crappy lettering that people do in the communities. And all this plastic lettering that you see smeared on the sides of trucks and buildings and so forth is just pathetic, because the letter spacing in most cases is poor. The letter design itself isn't bad, but it's the way it's applied to the ground, and it's pretty crappy most of the time. You can see it on you can see on packages and labels and things whether the artist had any real skill with letter forms. And it's an art. It really is an art. And it's kind of like the vanishing landscape. It's disappearing. There aren't very many people that can do hand lettering. And they're relying so much on the computer to do things. The computer can't really do the letter spacing. For example, when you have an L and a T, well, you have to slide that horizontal on the T into the space of the L in order to eliminate those gaping holes. And you can't do that on a computer. They won't letter space for you very well. It's better than it used to be anyway. That's enough, Dinah. I need a drink of water.